Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane.
Hello, welcome back to Life Mill Life and Crafting with Kelly and Katie. She's right here, which I'll turn the camera in a minute. We are doing the centerpieces for our Vacation Bible School program at church. So I'm going to turn the camera because I'm just the assistant today.
So apparently I'm in charge of this. Let's see how this goes. So our eventual goal is to take our 500 ml sour cream container that I have spray painted a choice color. Or if you're in the US, this would likely be your 16-ounce container of sour cream. So not the tall one, but the middle-sized one. I think there is actually even a smaller one.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
So we're going to go with the middle-sized sour cream container at most grocery stores. I have spray painted this a nutmeg color from, I think it was Rust-Oleum or whatever that spray paint company is. And I found a spray paint that did say that it would bond to plastic. And I've been very impressed with how well it has
Considering
coated.
our boo-boos the first couple times.
We tried painting and doing some other things and it didn't go over so well. So we resorted to spray paint.
Yeah.
So main thing, the center of our centerpiece will be this cup, or you could use a terracotta pot if you're only making a few. We need to make a lot, so we're looking for cost-effective ways to do this, and everyone had spare containers and donated them all to us.
Yeah.
The other things that we will need today is some green paper. We're just using standard copy paper that is green, and we have drawn on it here some 3 leaves, starting wide on one side, narrowing to a point, and then from a point down to wide to maximize our use of the paper. For each centerpiece, you will need 9 leaves, so that will be 3 pieces of paper.
Would you like me to cut them now?
So I'm going to let Kelly cut those while I'm going through the rest of our supply list. You will need a 1/4-inch dowel, which you can pick up at any local hardware store, which will be the center post of our centerpiece. You will need some modeling clay, which this I happen to pick up at Dollarama. Any of your dollar stores will have something similar. You'll need some gravel or decorative stones. This just happens to be some masonry gravel, all-purpose gravel that I picked up at Home Depot. And then we also need a 10-inch by 4-inch piece of cardstock or slightly thicker paper. This happens to be some scrapbooking paper that I'm using here. And then, of course, we need a gold chalk writer that was picked up at Dollar Tree. And this will help us decorate our leaves to give it a little bit more texture and body.
They don't look a little more realistic.
So I'm going to set this aside. For taking the 10-inch by 4-inch piece of cardstock, you're going to fold it in half, so that you end up with a 4-inch by 5-inch space. What we will eventually have on these will be the squad number of our Vacation Bible School teams, their team name, as well as a picture of the animal that is the mascot of their team. Those just haven't gotten printed yet, so today we're using this as a stand-in, but we will have it printed and then cut it out. So once you have folded your paper in half, go ahead and take a standard hole punch or a single hole punch if you have one. Center it on one of the holes and go ahead and punch that down. So you should end up with a small hole right here. What I did after that is I'm going to make a fold about 1/8 of an inch past the hole. So when it folds, it looks like this. And then I'm going to take one side and then fold it the other direction. This will allow us to basically create a tent where the 2 holes will match up. And you will insert your dowel through that hole and it will go up to the top. And this will now be ready to go in the center of our piece. However, our leaves will also be attached to this dowel. So you can either load your leaves from the bottom or take this guy off while you load your leaves from the top. that is completely up to you. So I'm going to take mine off to make this easier and set this aside for now. And Kelly has cut out our leaves for us. So this happens to be our green leaf. And we're going to make it look kind of like a corn plant. So we're going to take our chalk rider. If I can take the lid off. Apparently, you have to use the lid end, not the twisting end, to make this work well. And I'm going to take that chalk rider and draw a line mostly down the center. And then take any sort of napkin you have and rub it to give us a nice center line. You can work in slight circular motion if you want to give it some feathering. And then we now have a line down the center like this in a gold pen. And then I'm also going to do a slight gold edge in slightly lighter than I used in the center to give us some texture or body. And I have a mat underneath me, so if I go off with the chalk, I'm not writing on Kelly's dining room table. So here we have our first leaf complete. You will need to make 9 of these. So because I have a hole punch here, we can also put a hole punch in the bottom of this. Mm-hmm. So it will be very similar to what we did at the bottom of our cardstock label, because this will allow us to place it over our dowel, and then as we can slightly wrap it around the dowel and then fold our leaf back, such as this. And then we will keep adding more leaves, but I'm going to wait until I have added all of the leaves around it and do one cluster grab of all of them.
Yeah, makes sense.
We're going to take a pause right here so we can finish up these leaves, and then we'll bring you back. Kelly has so kindly added our stripes onto each of our leaves. So now we're going to start some assembly. So from our package of modeling clay, we found out that it was actually packaged in another pack inside. So I pulled off about a 1.5 inch section of clay, turned it into a ball. It's about the same size I would use for a small chocolate chip cookie. So just a great way to measure. Use something everybody knows what to do with. We've all made cookies at some point in our life, most likely.
I was laughing. Why do we always put things towards food?
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it down into more of like a little bit of a donut, take my dowel, stick it down the center to create a hole. What we're really doing here is we're wanting to create a larger surface area that we can attach inside of our container. So just to ensure that all is well when we put our dowel in, I'm going to put a drop or two of hot glue into the center of our clay and then drop my doweling in. Maybe my hot glue gun will stay standing, maybe not.
It's brand new, so the cord is
still stiff. So I'm just going to press this around a bit. And then, really, we're going to have to wait for it to dry. So that likely won't happen right away. It's starting to dry up a little bit.
Does it say on here how long?
I didn't see it say how long, but it does say that if by chance it's a little too dry for you, you can moisten your hands or add a little bit of water. And when it is gray, it is still wet and it should turn white, is what this packaging said. Check the package of your clay to see what happens. So now we have a sturdy attachment. The bottom is flat, which will be helpful when mounting it into our cup. So for right now, I'm just going to set this in here and leave it. And then we have all of our leaves. So I have 9 leaves here. I'm going to line up all of their holes and mount them onto my dowel at the same time because I'm lazy or efficient, whichever way you wish to be. So then I'm going to fan them out around so that they end up kind of crisscrossing each other. This is a little challenging. You could do this in a different order so you don't have the ball of clay standing you up.
Well, we're doing it this way for the purpose of the video.
Yeah, for the video, we may load them individually, but I'm noticing, actually I guess I could just stick them out like this.
Mm-hmm.
Leave them flat. I will move the glue gun out of the way because we don't need glue on our leaves. So it may look like they are quite spread out on the table right now. That's okay, because we're eventually going to pull them all upward and kind of wrap our hand around them to pull them up towards the dowel and create a little cluster.
Yeah, one more down there.
Yeah, one's dropping out. Ah! This is what happens. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned. So mine got all turned around. We're starting it over. How did we do this? Did we
I think we did one at a time.
did we mount it through the back, or did we just
like
maybe
that?
I'll just cluster one up like this.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll pull them upward and just whichever one I have wrapped. Maybe pick up a few at a time. And then slowly just kind of fold some of the paper around the doweling.
That's working. Yeah. Even if we, you know what? Even if we just put a dab of glue and not like scrunch them together, but just like you are, kind of put a dab of glue in between each leaf as you're putting them up, and then like that. Yeah.
So now we have ended up with all of our leaves, and I'm just kind of wrapping my hand around it. And it's okay that these leaves are starting to bend down because we want them to.
Or
you could put just a rubber band
that's exactly what
around this whole cluster just to keep them in place.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
So Kelly is in search of a rubber band. Or a hair tie. Twist tie will work as well. So we're going to take a twist tie. You can use a piece of twine, some string, depending on what you have with you or available to you.
And I think twine would be great because it would
Twine would blend in with the desert theme that we are doing. Our theme this year is monumental, and it takes place in a desert. So now that I have all of our leaves clustered around, I'm just going to tuck the extra cable around. And this is where you can make some decisions that will work for you. Is with our tub here, this will, minor issue, lift up the clay, set it down into the center with the 9 leaves. You can then...
I think I like the idea of just wrapping, like tying it at the bottom because it makes it look fuller at the bottom.
Yep. And this will allow you also to twist some of your leaves as necessary.
Because show them our prototype.
So our prototype...
See how it clumps? Whereas this looks fuller at the bottom.
Yep. So this one only happened to have a few leaves on it. We were just doing proof of idea. But this does look fuller at the bottom and will give us more space for our visual tags so that the kids can see what they need to see to find their correct table. So through one hole, through the other, until it hits the top.
Yeah, I think I like that idea. Yep.
So then this will look here. And as it sits right now, because of how full it is near the bottom, it's a little bit light, so it may, if the kids are playing around, blow around or get knocked off the table. So as you have filled things up, you can opt to take some of your decorative gravel. And I think I would actually suggest putting some of it in before you load. I'm not sure. This may have to get tested out a few times to figure out. And I am noticing that my one leaf here is not down in our cluster. So,
But that's easy enough to put a little dab of glue or something.
yeah, so we may
keep
have
it
to
down.
glue them onto each other.
Just like that. I do like how that one's standing up though. And then have that other side as the front. Oh,
Well, the thing is, if they're on round tables,
That's right.
you need to be able to see both sides.
that's right. Yep.
So then you would just work your leaves into the position you wish, and then you can add a minor crease if you need them to go in. I've noticed I have a bunch that are really close to each other here, so I need to find a solution around that. And I think that will probably come in making this a little tighter down here. But right now I do need to do some adjustments to them. So we're gonna take a break, do some of these adjustments, and we'll bring you back. Welcome back. Thinking on our feet is one of our favorite parts of crafting. It doesn't always go as you planned. So what we have done now is we've taken the first 6 or so of our leaves and we have tied around them. Instead of with a twist tie, we used a piece of twine. So we put a grouping of them down, tied them on. Now we're going to use our remaining few leaves to help us fill out our flower plant. And so what we're going to do is, it's going to be a 2-person job, is that as we decide where they go on our overall plant, we're going to drop it down, and then Kelly's gonna put some glue down there so I can nest the paper in, and hopefully it will stay in a good place for what we're doing. She put it right along the dowel, so then I can kind of squish it down to the base as I slide my leaf down there. And then I'm gonna let it sit for a bit because I want that glue to dry before I toss on the next one. And it looks like our remaining 2 leaves will probably need to go right here and right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Kelly give me a drop of glue down near the base of the dowel, slide my leaf on, pick up some of that glue, and nest it right down, coming out where I want it to go.
Oh, and we modified the bottom of the leaf.
Because we were having a lot of clustering of the paper, not fabric, I do a lot of fabric art, so I'm used to talking with fabric, not paper. Instead of leaving them square edged, we added a rounded edge to just take away some of the bulk that was in the paper that'll allow these to slide down into the center. So you may be able to do that for all of your leaves if you wish. We did it for the top 3 of them. So Kelly's gonna give me one more dab of glue on this side. Yep. And then it'll get that nested down in there, turned in the direction I wish. And the nice part is the clay is still a little bit moldable, so I can recenter my vertical post if necessary. And if you notice yours is falling out, you can wait until your clay dries and then add some hot glue, or maybe use a little more hot glue than I used. I don't know. We'll see. So now that we have our plant here, this is when you take your sour cream container and stick that in. So you'll have to fold up many of your leaves so that they are fitting in there. Now, for this application of this, once your clay is dry, you're going to take some hot glue, cover the base of your clay, and then mount it in the center of your container.
I think it's coming along great.
So, of course, our clay is not dry right now. So we would use this opportunity to, actually, we would wait until it was dry. For the purposes of this, I think I'm just going to glue it down. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how well it will work since it is still quite moist. So I'm just going to take the hot glue. Your third hand is also known as your mouth. I'm going to put quite a bit of glue on there because there's a lot of area to cover.
Hello. Okay.
And then I'm just going to let that dry there for a bit.
No, that's paint. I've got those. I need... Okay. Look for some pastels. They look like a crayon, but they're called pastels.
Oil pastels.
Oil pastels. Yep. Okay. Okay. Look in the school section. Okay. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Kevin is on an errand for us. And so that was him. He's looking for some more of these, but I bought them probably last year at least.
So he wasn't able to find any. I may have to go on a mission across the city, and that's okay.
But you know what? We'll use it until it's gone. Not a big deal.
And if we have to change colors, we have to change colors. So after your
No, it's not too bad.
piece has dried to the middle, before you fold all your leaves down, this is where you can take some of your decorative rocks or gravel and do your best to fill in around. It's a little harder with all the leaves there. But if we put the dowel and the clay in before adding the leaves, then we wouldn't be able to wrap the leaves. So this is kind of this is the harder part of this one. Now you don't need to fill it. The gravel here is mostly to give us an opportunity to make this so that it doesn't get blown off the table or pushed out of the way super easily. And I'm leaving gravel all over Kelly's dining room floor. I'll have to do my job and clean up the floor. If I make the mess, I have to clean it up.
That's all right. I always say if you don't make a mess, you're not having fun. That's how I look at it.
So you could create like a funnel with paper to guide your gravel in. Just a chute.
Plastic cup or something would even...
Yeah.
I just didn't get one out.
That's okay. This just happens to be a container that I had filled with gravel. I have a 25 kilogram container of gravel in the trunk of my car currently.
What's that in pounds?
25 kilograms would be at least 50 pounds, about 60, so 0.2 times 25, 50, so about 55 pounds, give or take, if I'm doing my quick math correctly.
Because I hate imperial measurements when it comes to that. I prefer pounds.
55.116 pounds. So my 55 was pretty darn close.
Yep.
Benefit to living in both countries at different times. I've had to learn both systems.
We had one of our subscriber friends ask what brought you to Canada.
So I came to Canada to attend a university and get a degree in school psychology and to be in the same city as my significant other. Because we have missed each other in a number of other cities that we have both lived in.
Yeah. I had answered briefly and just said originally school brought you, but I didn't give all your info, so I figured you could fill that in.
So, and I think for this, I'm going to fill this about 2/3 of the container will be full with rocks, give or take. of the remaining space after I have inserted everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now that we have this filled and ready to go, take an opportunity to straighten up your top if needed. The planes are landing quite happily today. I keep getting distracted by airplanes, but this is normal for me.
Gotta love new cords on extension
Electronics.
on things. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
stiff.
have a mind of their own. So this is your opportunity. So now we kind of have all of our leaves pointing straight up. We want to give them a slight crease so that they fold down. So you can either give them an angled fold and then roll. If you want them to come down a lot, you can take a writing utensil or an extra dowel and do a quick curl roll. So not as tight as if you're quilling, but it does give you some shape with...
Oh, I like that, actually.
So you don't need to wrap it tight. If you want a larger roll, find a larger object to roll it around. So, can you hand me one of the pins over there? Those ones? Yep. So this happens to be about a 1/2 inch diameter object. You can just make it, so it's the difference between a small curling iron and a big curling iron, the type of roll that you get. Make a loose roll and do that with each of your leaves.
Curling irons are obsolete, aren't they? I haven't curled my hair in so many years.
I haven't curled my hair in many years either, but I know what a curling iron is and I know how to use it.
The days of perms and curling.
I remember having bangs and curling my bangs every morning for a while in life. So you may find in doing this that you have an area that you don't have enough leaves on. You would always be able to add an extra leaf anywhere that you need one.
Oh, I like that.
I think I may need to redo some of those over there. One thing to make sure of when you're rolling around an object, make sure that your tip doesn't get bent in like I did right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I will have to fix that. This one. So it's much easier when you just have a large enough object to roll it around. And then these ones happen to be tightly nested inside of each other.
But with the label
So
thing.
now that we have this, our curls down, we have our label. So if you wished to put a table number, if you were doing decorations for some other device or activity, and then this slides down to be just high enough so that none of the leaves are blocking the label from either side.
I like it.
You can see both sides. You may notice that your cardstock here is not attached. You can put a quick dot of glue on either side to hold it in place. And if you want it to slide down a little further, you can poke a hole at the very top here using a hole punch or...
Well, you got an example here.
Yeah, so what I did on this one, on our sample, is I folded the paper in half. I folded it to mark the center and then just cut a diagonal cut, which basically gave me a diamond shape hole, which fit my dowel.
But I don't like that as much. I think I like it better.
I think for our purposes, this works wonderful.
Yeah.
But not everyone's needs are the same. So that's just a possible modification as needed for your situation. The fewer sharp edges, the better when kids are involved. So we will eventually get these printed out with the team numbers, team names, and their mascots. And there you have it.
That's awesome. I'm excited to get all these made.
So we get to make 13 more of these. We will see what we can get to today.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next video.